Hello, I'm Joanne Myers, Director of Public Affairs Programs. As many of you know, the Carnegie Council has been a forum for the discussion of ethical issues in international decision-making. But to continue to bring these wonderful programs to you, we need your help. Please visit carnegiecouncil.org, click on Donate/Join. Thank you for doing so.
The most committed of us, right? Environmentalists. I'm one of them, right? We recycle, we bike to work. I don't have a driver's license even. Actually, most Manhattanites probably don't own cars. Right? We avoid out-of-season grapes. We carry home locally grown apples in organic canvas bags, and do all the right things. Right? We try to do the right thing. Now, unfortunately, it just doesn't add up to enough. You can try to be no impact man, but in fact, you would have no impact on the planet. Now, that's an extremely uncomfortable message to send, right? But it's so logical just if you look at the basic numbers. Just indulge me for a second here. You start with 300 million Americans, right? 20 tons of carbon dioxide emissions per American on average. Let's just say you go down to 0 from 20. Not that it's possible, really, but let's just say you decrease your emissions to 0. Well, average, or across all Americans, still 20 tons of CO2. Right? 300 million Americans, 300,000 drops in the average 5-gallon bucket. Your impact, less than a drop in the bucket. Now, of course, that's the extreme situation, right? Individual action, individual sacrifice won't make a difference here. We clearly need to do more. So create a movement, right? Create an army of no impact men, an army of recyclers here. Don't just recycle, tell your neighbor to recycle, tell your kids to recycle. Now, this is now a bit more difficult to knock down as a straw man here, but still, if you actually run the numbers, it simply doesn't add up to enough. So let's say right, we all recycle, all 300 million of us, or all 7 billion of us. Well, first of all, a few billion don't have anything to recycle in the first place, right? So if you start at 20 tons average and go down to 19, it's as easy as taking a staycation, right? Hurricane Irene nixed my plans on going to Austria for a vacation that last week. My carbon budget just decreased by about a ton of CO2 for this year. Now, if you're at 2 tons, going down to 1 isn't just a lot more difficult. Frankly, given current technologies, it is essentially impossible to do. Right? So there are about 3 or 4 billion people on the planet who have nowhere to go but up in terms of their carbon emissions. But let's stick with the recycling just for another second here, right? So no surprise, it turns out that getting millions or perhaps 1 billion of us together to do the right thing still won't be enough. Now, unfortunately, that shows up the same way essentially as a recession would. You get a big bump in emissions down, and after that one bump, emissions are increasing again, right? So 2008, Lehman took a nosedive, the world economy followed, and emissions went down, clearly. But the trend still continued, and if anything, after the recession, as we are growing our way out of this recession, or avoiding a double-dip recession, I guess, we're actually growing at an accelerating rate. Emissions are now increasing faster than they did before. Our current technologies, the way we organize ourselves as a society, simply doesn't allow for major emissions reductions, major changes to this trend. So yes, it takes even more than 1 billion people, not that that is ever possible, but 1 billion people to do the right thing here, voluntarily. Right now, that's not exactly comfortable or comforting, for that matter. And the point, of course, is not that we shouldn't be doing these things, all these good things, recycling and so on. The point is that we should be doing much, much more of that. We all need to do these things, right? And that's I guess the key point here, the real bummer from the point of view of the science or the economics is that even if we all did this, even if we all went all out here and did the right thing, a billion environmentalists, recycling, doing all the right things, the planet would still be toast.